Hello everyone, let's talk about group decision making. Before we go into the details of this topic, let's differentiate between group decision and an individual decision. An individual decision is obviously a decision taken by one person or one individual, whereas group decision is the decision in which many members or more than one person is involved in taking a decision. Now, what we have to be very clear is that it is not only the number of people present on the decision table, it is actually the number of people who are actively participating in the final outcome of that decision making activity. So, now let's move ahead and talk about the strengths of group decision making. Group decision has certain obvious advantages. First and foremost, which you can see is that the information and knowledge, because there are more people involved, so you can get more information than one person may be able to access. Then there is also diversity of views, because different people with different experiences and different perception will make a different opinion and viewpoint about that question which is to be decided upon, and hence there is more diversity of views in such decisions. When this diversity is there and more information is available, the chances are that the quality of decision being taken by the group will improve. Please pay attention to the fact that we are saying that the probability of quality decisions improves. It's not a guarantee that if there are more people involved, there will always be high quality decisions. And yes, lastly, the acceptance of that decision increases. When one person takes a decision and that decision is to be imposed upon everyone else, this imposition may require certain effort, but when group of people are involved in taking a decision, it becomes easier to accept. Now, talking about the weaknesses of group decision making. First and foremost, when you are taking inputs from so many people, when there are others who also wants to put in their views, the chances are it will be more time consuming than the individual decisions. Another thing is that there can be conformity to come to a consensus. The group members may feel pressurized or may be pressurized to conform to the group decision, to agree to what has been agreed upon by the group. Many times it also happens that the group conversation, the entire discussion gets dominated by a few vocal candidates or group members, the ones who are a little shy in expressing their views may be overlooked or overheard. So it looks as if there are many people who are taking the decision or the entire group has taken the decision, but actually the decision may be just of that a few members. Lastly, the responsibility of that decision becomes diffused. It is ambiguous. It's not clear who exactly was responsible for that decision. When we are talking about the weaknesses of group decision making, let's talk also about two major errors which may occur when a group is taking a decision. One error is group think. Now, what is group think? Please do not understand that when the group is taking a decision, when the group is thinking, it is known as group think. No. Groupthink is actually a phenomena in which the norm for consensus overrides the realistic appraisal of alternative courses of action. That is, to agree with each other becomes so important that people do not critically analyze all the alternatives. So, if there is a decision to be taken and some decision kind of comes up and there are few people who agree to it, others will have to agree to it. They cannot deviate from that common standpoint. So this is an error because all different viewpoints do not get considered. Now, how can you identify that when a group is taking a decision, there is groupthink which is happening? There can be some very clear-cut symptoms. First symptom is rationalization of resistance. If any member of the group tends to oppose the decision or raises doubts regarding the decision, people rationalize his questions, people rationalize his resistance or rationalize his doubts, give him some kind of explanation to his resistance, or rather than giving any explanation or rationalization, they may directly apply pressure on the person and ask him to keep quiet, just shut him out. So when rationalization happens or when people are asked to keep quiet, many members do not even raise their doubts. Many members, they just become silent, they avoid deviating. And this all gives an illusion of unanimity. People tend to feel as if there is a consensus, but actually there is not a consensus. People are keeping their doubts to themselves. So different views, different opinions which should have been considered in group decision making are not considered. So this becomes an error which is known as groupthink. There is another error known as group shift. Now consider that if an individual takes a decision, an individual understands that the responsibility of the consequences of this decision lay squarely upon him. So he will be very careful while taking a decision. He will always evaluate the pros and cons of that decision before he takes that decision. But when people are in a group, they do not take that conscious approach many times. Many times it happens that the group shifts towards extremes of the decision. This is known as group shift. So this is a phenomena where a change in the decision risk happens between the group's decision and the individual decision that members within the group would make. This can be either towards conservatism or towards a greater risk. For example, if a worker in a factory, in a company, has some issue with the management, if he has to take a decision to resolve this issue, he will take a very careful decision. He might think of having a talk with his supervisor or with the management to actually discuss about his grievance. But when the same question is raised in the labor's union, when a group decision is taken on the same issue, that union, those group members, they may shift towards either of the extreme while taking the decision. Either they might take a very conservative call. For example, they might say, just leave this issue, let's not discuss, let's let it go. Or they might tend to shift towards another extreme. That is, they might say, let's shut down, let's go for a strike, or they may even call for a violent action. So this is a risky decision. Here what we have seen is that the decision risk has been increased. If it was an individual taking a decision, he would not have taken this risk. Now this is a group shift which you can see. This shift is towards either conservatism or towards greater risk, and it depends upon the dominant pre-discussion norm. That is the norm which existed before the discussion even started. That means whatever the group is generally used to. So if this labor union is generally used to avoiding taking calls, then in this situation also they will avoid taking a call. If this union is generally used to going for strikes, or going for violent action, in this case also they will move towards the same extreme. So this is a group shift phenomena. Now, why do people move towards greater risk? Why do group decisions move towards risky end? This happens for 3 reasons. First one is that when people are together with each other, they feel comfortable and they also feel strong. Being comfortable with each other makes them feel bold enough to take those risky decisions. Secondly, in certain societies, people who take risky decisions are admired. They are seen as bold, as strong. So everybody wants to come out and be seen as strong and bold. So if they take conservative decision or a middle approach, they might be seen as cowards or not strong enough, not bold enough. Hence, they tend to take more risky decisions. Last but not the least, it is important that when a group takes a risky decisions or calls for a violent action, then no one individual can be made accountable. If the decision goes wrong and some harm comes upon a person or the property, one person cannot be identified and punished because it was a group which took the call, a group which took that action. Then who will be punished? And because there is no accountability, no responsibility, so people can feel free and comfortable to take risky decisions. For example, when a group goes on and pelts stones on a bus or on an office, then who was the first one or the second one or the one who actually caused that destruction? Who will be punished? Nobody, no one person can be pinpointed, and this makes them feel comfortable and strong and bold because they are kind of hidden in that diffused responsibility. Hence, they tend to take risky decisions. So here we talked about group decision making. Then what are the strengths of group decisions? What are the weak points of group decisions? And 2 major errors which may happen in group decision, that is groupthink and group shift. Thank you so very much.